Anoa Changa was, I invited her to come on tonight, my homegirl here in Atlanta, to discuss what the Trump Justice Department is doing, spying on people who protest him. He's requested 1.3 million IP addresses for people who have visited DisruptJ20.org. Obviously, because I'm dealing with inferior technology, that's my fault. So she's going to do her show about it tomorrow. We're going to try to relay the message. But this is what Donald Trump is doing on top of his white supremacist tirade. He is the quintessential big brother. If you want to talk about freedom of speech, the Department of Justice is using the weight and the force of our Justice Department and our executive branch to demand the IP addresses and contact and email information for 1.3 million people who visited DisruptJ20.org. They request their hosting service called DreamHost. Now, whether or not they get it, it has a chilling effect, and it makes people, it intimidates people, and it intimidates them from not going into the streets to scream nigger and to scream, anti-Semitic or homophobic slurs, but for us to go into the streets and protest a president that we disagree with. I mean, are we not seeing the quintessential example? And this, again, is the false equivalence, one of the top 10 false equivalencies, right? They're saying, Nazis are saying that their freedom of speech is being violated when nobody in the government is stopping them from saying anything. But what they consider a violation of their free speech, what they consider to be a violation of their free speech is not being able to say nigger without getting fired or losing social standing. To them, they should be able to say nigger all they want and never be held responsible for it, because that to them is free speech. Meanwhile, the free speech of people who oppose Donald Trump is literally being challenged by the Department of Justice, Donald Trump's Department of Justice. They have a warrant out for this website, for the hosting company, to turn over 1.3 million IP addresses and email addresses and contact information for people who protested Donald Trump. Nazis have protected free speech, protected by the ACLU and the courts. People who oppose Donald Trump are now having their personal information be requested or be demanded by the Trump administration. You see the asymmetrical fight. I said this last night. We have to 100% stop fighting this asymmetrical fight, and we must bring symmetry into the fight. In other words, we got to fight on the same level. We got to fight the same things. If we're losing our free speech, then we can't let them actually cry. We have to blow that out of the water. Nothing about Nazi speech is inhibited by the federal government or state governments. And if there are sundry times where it actually happens, the ACLU is quick to come in and save a bitch. So they are well protected. Meanwhile, protesters are being outed by the federal government. I'm sorry. That's all I got, man. That's all I got. It matters. We have to get involved. We have to get from behind our computers, and we have to get into these streets. I'll be at the I'm going to be at the rally, the free speech rally on Saturday in Boston. And cool, totally cool if they get on stage and they start yelling about how their freedom of speech is being taken away. Fine, you could lie all day long, but if you get out there and you are intimidating people who are counter protesting, are screaming, inciting violence with your rhetoric, something different. And people have the right to push back. And I have the right to use my free speech to challenge what you're saying with your free speech. And there will be repercussions. There will be repercussions. This is not a threat. It's just reality. People don't want to be associated with racists.